Gig Gab, episode 515 for Monday, January 5th, the National Day of Dialogue 2026. Happy New Year, folks. Woo. Perfect dialogue time. Greetings, folks, and welcome to Gig Gab, the show by, for, and about working musicians here, as usual, in Durham, New Hampshire. I am Dave Hamilton, and my guest co-host today is returning to the show, somebody who's mixed certainly bands that you have gone and seen, probably shows that you have seen. He's also done Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He's done iHeartRadio. He's done all kinds of other things. Robert Scovill, thank you for coming back on the show, my friend.
You promoted me to co-host? That's
you're always guest co-host when you're on. That's it.
That's going on the resume. That's on the resume.
Guest co-host. That's it. Yeah. You get to take the reins if you want. It's fine. If I need to, I reserve the right.
Well, I'm going to start asking questions now.
Really? That's the idea. That's right. Yes. It's just a conversation, man. It's all good.
Goodness.
So I mentioned this. You've mixed Rock and Roll Hall of Fame many times, including this most recent one in November, which is just now playing again. I think they're doing it as a primetime special on ABC or something like that.
Right.
So yeah. We had a brief conversation about this. This is a, and I figured it would be a good conversation to have because this is effectively like mixing a festival gig where you've just got band after band after band, and you've got to kind of roll through things very quickly with no preparation, or very little preparation, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah. And dealing with not just the audio in the room, but the audio for broadcast and the audio for, of course, for monitor mixes and everything else. When you mix Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which mix are you in charge of, or were you in charge of this for this particular time?
Yeah, I think this was my fifth Rock Hall induction this year, fifth or sixth. Wow. I lost track of the numbers on it. Yeah. But I'm always doing front of house for the audience.
Okay, it's for the audience. Got it.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm not doing broadcast there. That is
okay. I wasn't sure which one it was. Okay, got it. Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a blast doing that. I mean, I was really honored that they asked me to do it for sure, and it's turned into quite a thing there. I mean, it's one of the more challenging. It is one of the most challenging things I've ever done as a sit down and mix for sure.
Yeah, I mean, do you how much preparation with the bands do you get? I mean, I'm sure you get what do you get in advance? Do you get an input list, or do you just kind of have to wing it? Like what's that like for you?
I mean, at risk of, poisoning the water already, I never feel like I have enough, right?
Of course.
But there's always input lists. Input lists actually come rather late to the game. I mean, I usually set aside, honestly, about a week of preparation here at my place where I'm sitting right now. I mean, I have console, everything's sitting here, and start pre-building show files, or a show file that'll handle the whole show. Where I can make all the changes and just have everything kind of in place, honestly, to get ready for changes that are sure to happen. That's kind of
makes sense. Okay.
Thing. And it takes me a while. It takes about, I mean, no exaggeration, it's 20 or 30 hours of build time on that show file to get it ready for, 10, 12, 14 acts. Because, it's not like we're just going to have the same band and a bunch of different singers come up. I mean, these are full changeovers. And you have the rehearsal period of it is very tight. Like the scheduling is just crazy. I mean, to the minute, they've got it locked down what you're going to do for about a 3-day period. Wow. And if it starts to slip out of sync, it gets really, really challenging, to make big changes in the show. So,
sure.
I've known Skip Kent for a long time now, who's kind of the patch master. He manages all the input lists and gets them all distributed, et cetera. But I don't have an assistant on the show.
Wow.
Mike, the monitor engineer, he doesn't really have an assistant on the show. So, I mean, you are flying solo for this whole thing. And if the schedule slips, audio just takes it in the shorts there. I mean, you just
you are the least important thing.
No, I'm not going to say that.
There are things that take priority over the audio in the room in terms of the rehearsal process.
Yeah, the schedule takes priority.
The schedule takes. There you go. Yeah. Okay.
So, like for instance, if things slip out and we go over for a given act, you are then scrambling to get changed over and implement any changes. Like, those changes come in late. I've had changes come in while I'm mixing an act. Changes are coming in for the next act. So if you get into a schedule conflict there where you don't have time to implement those changes, you're now doing those changes while they're camera blocking. And while the band is on stage and camera blocking, that's your time to be sound checking. And in that situation, the people in that room expect the audio that comes out of that PA to sound like it's going to sound during the show. There's no, okay, kick drum, okay, this, okay, that. There's none of that.
Really?
By the time the band hits the stage and you push up the master fader, they expect it to sound like something, because the comments are going to be coming. I mean, as soon as you start, it's going to be, hey, I don't hear this. It's like, okay.
And this is just for the rehearsal process.
This is just for the rehearsal. It's like, okay, give me at least one pass and I'll,
Yeah.
And even that said, there are things that I miss unquestionably. There are times where I get off on something else and get to working on it, and you miss a solo here, or you miss some sort of feature here, and it's like, okay, just keep them coming. I will get it over the course of these run-throughs. I promise you I'll get this all together. But it's challenging, man. I mean, you are working absolutely under fire, and the expectation, I mean, that's, everybody talks about the difference between mixing broadcast and mixing front of house, all those kind of things. Well, the front of house mix is for all of those ears in the room.
Yeah.
Think about the people that are sitting in that audience listening to your work. I mean, it's nerve-wracking, man. I mean,
this is the audition for the next gig, man.
I mean, the expectation is very, very high in that room for what it's going to sound like. So, I take it, I take it deadly serious,
Clearly. And it seems like you enjoy the challenge of flying by the seat of your pants in that sense. Like that's something you embrace.
I do. I mean, I've always loved that kind of pressure. I mean, it's part of what makes me love to do live work to begin with. I mean, it's kind of what drove me out of the studio. Funny enough, it was like,
sure.
I mean, this sounds odd to say it, coming from the mid '90s when I decided to just put the studio completely down. It's like, this is way more human out here. I mean, it's, everything is on out here, and there are no second chances out here. You get one chance to get it. And it's not to say that I haven't messed it up. I have.
Sure. Yeah, well, I mean,
I've messed it up big time a couple times, so.
This doesn't sound strange at all. I mean, you're speaking to an audience of primarily musicians who play live. I mean, and when you said you gave up the studio to kind of focus on live, I still do some studio stuff, but my preference when playing music and when making music is to do it live with other people and in front of an audience where you get to exchange that energy. And there is that element of risk too. Yeah. That's what I love about live music is it can't be perfect. Like the whole point, the goal might be perfection.
Don't want
but
but it's a great thing to strive for. It's a terrible thing to achieve, that kind of thing,
There you go. Well said. Yeah.
I mean, I mean, when I was doing my studio era, I mean, I had my own studio, I had my own label, I was cultivating acts and stuff. And, this was when Pro Tools was really making its feelings known.
Yeah, sure.
In the market. And, the more I worked with it, the more I started pushing back on it. It was like, okay, I'm way more interested in recording moments, not seconds here. I mean, I was all about ensemble recording. It's like, let's record as an ensemble here. I mean, it's I think it's part of what endeared me to the Tom Petty camp, because I was so vehemently about that. It's like, if you can't play it with two hands at the same time you're doing something else, don't do it. I mean, it's one of those kind of things. So, it wasn't that I was necessarily against Pro Tools or any of that stuff. I loved it. It was an incredible facility and ability to do things, but it just, it could very easily tempt you into doing things that weren't weren't serving the music necessarily.
Yep.
You know, so
Yep.
so I got out of it and I just said, I'm going to just focus completely on live sound. I feel like I can have a little bit better impact there, bigger impact there, kind of going forward. And I certainly had some ideas about how live sound should be done, and at what quality it should be. So that just came my full focus at that point.
I've never asked you this before. What was your start with live sound? Where did that happen for you?
Oh, I mean, I certainly started in live sound. I mean, that was very late 70s, like 79, 80.
Got it.
Right around there, I got my very first live sound gigs, and I was working for a company in Kansas City called Superior.
Okay.
Superior Sound, just working as a PA guy. I mean, I was going to school at the time and needed work, and that was the best kind of work to be doing. I mean, I was doing that in moonlighting in studios and other stuff around Kansas City.
Got it.
And got hooked up with a band there that was breaking. They were just breaking really big, and ended up touring with them.
Amazing.
Was lucky enough to, smart enough, I should say, maybe to, collect all the contacts and get my career started from that. But I was very fortunate. I mean, I was out doing big shows when I was, 20 years old, 20.
Wow.
So
what was that band?
Shooting Star.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, they had, we always accused them of being the biggest band to never make it.
Yeah.
Because we played a lot of sizable shows. We did a lot of opening slots for the biggest bands of that era, so.
Yeah.
And they did 5 records together. First record was produced by Gus Dudgeon. Guy did all the Elton stuff. I mean, they were just, it was just fabulous. It was just an incredible environment to grow up in, for sure.
That's great. Yeah, what a good opportunity to have early on, and then, like you said, collect that Rolodex, folks. Like that's the, do a good job and make sure people know who you are and keep in touch. Yeah,
it was all handwritten Rolodex at that point.
Yes.
There was no computers in play then.
No. Yeah, if you weren't carting a computer with you, that's for sure.
It's so funny. A friend of mine who actually worked with Shooting Star, he was the front of house engineer and the production manager or tour manager on the thing. He came to visit me before Christmas. He was here a couple of days for Christmas, and we got to talking about this a little bit. And I was saying things like, how did we even know how to get to the gig at that point? I mean, did we just like call someone and write down some directions and say, okay, it's off Highway 85, go left here? It was like, there was no GPSs, no cell phones, no nothing.
No master tour, no nothing.
How did we do that? I don't remember how we did that,
we could we could go too deep on this conversation, but it is interesting how quickly that bit of technology has become table stakes. Like there's never a concern with, okay, where's the gig going to be? Like you've got a GPS, you've got pins dropped, you've got all the right things. Yeah.
So good. In my mind, there are no excuses for being late now,
Right.
I mean,
right. Yeah.
Short of the plane crash, that's probably the only excuse.
Yeah. Well, knock on wood, man.
Knock on
that. Yeah. We don't want that. Fascinating. Okay. And then you just kind of parlayed from there to different opportunities as they came up after the Shooting Star thing.
Yeah. You can kind of string it all together and connect all the dots,
Yeah.
And I swear to you, it's part of the fun and part of the love I have for doing the Rock Hall inductions. Because I get to have these kind of circle of life moments with the acts that come through there, this year was a great example of it, getting to mix the Joe Cocker induction, and having Tedeschi Trucks doing it, which they just did. They just crushed it, absolutely crushed the whole Cocker thing. But for me, is like, I remember as a kid, what impact going to see Mad Dogs and Englishmen had on me. I remember watching that movie and just thinking, wow, we're getting to see behind the scenes here. We're getting to see how it actually
it works.
I became a huge Cocker fan at that point. Following him all throughout his career. Then, the first interactions I ever had with him when he was opening for Petty, he opened a whole slew of dates for Petty, and I got to meet him and say hi and all that kind of stuff. And then to go back now and mix his induction was just one of those moments where you're just sitting there going, I can't believe I'm mixing this. I can't believe I'm getting allowed to do this, Same thing happened for the Peter Frampton one. It was a similar thing,
Is that right? Was Frampton a big thing for you?
Oh yeah. Well, when I was in high school, I mean, that was, I entered high school in '74. So, Frampton Comes Alive. I mean, you couldn't walk through the halls of school. You could not go to a party. You couldn't drive through town without having somebody blaring that album. And I probably listen, no exaggeration, I probably listened to that album 200 times or more, maybe more.
Sure.
So, here I am mixing, his Rock Hall induction, and he's playing songs from that album. And I'm just sitting there thinking, I don't even have to rehearse this. I know every note that is coming right here. I know who's going to play. I know who's going to sing. I know every drum fill, every piece of it.
That's great. Well,
it's just magical. It's just magical.
And what a wonderful, I mean, you've had, by all counts, an illustrious career. I mean, you mentioned Tom Petty, you mixed Rush, you mixed Def Leppard, you mixed Matchbox 20, you mixed Kenny Chesney nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean, you have this just string of highlights. And the fact that every year, at least once a year, you get to do something that, like, not to say that everything else isn't meaningful, but that is nostalgic for you. Like you get to meaningful in a nostalgic way that like you said, full circle moments. What a great thing.
I mean, I go through it every year, and I think I experienced it maybe more this year. Last year was a pretty tough run as well, but maybe as much this year, where, we start on like a Tuesday, and, the whole thing starts a week before the show.
Sure.
But audio gets in the building on Tuesday, and then Wednesday we kind of do a little, gear setup and, kind of get ready. And then you start working in earnest on Thursday. And I remember by the time we finished late on Friday night, finished rehearsals, which we still didn't finish rehearsals. We still had rehearsals on day of show and people to run through it on day of show. But I remember by the end of that Friday, kind of leaving the console at, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night and thinking, I mean, I had hit the wall. I mean, physically,
sure.
Mentally, I was absolutely exhausted. And, I was probably exhausted 2 acts earlier. I mean, the last 2 acts I mixed, I had nothing mentally in that. And I remember thinking, I don't know if I can keep doing this. It's just like, man, this is as hard physically and mentally as anything I ever grind through. It's just relentless for, 48, 72 hours there. And then, you get through Saturday, and then you go eat some dinner, and you come back and do the show, which is usually about a 4-hour show, maybe sometimes as long as 5 hours. I mean, it's a long show.
Yeah.
And it happens to me every single year where I get to the show and then hear all the moments come, like everything you've worked for, up to this point, and even including the last 72 hours, there is something that happens in that room during that show that is unlike anything I've ever experienced before. There is a magic that takes place there. I mean, I'm not ashamed to say this. I end up in tears.
It's awesome.
A couple of times throughout the night, just because you get to see how meaningful this is for people. And I can't get in with the haters for the Rock Hall and all that stuff.
Sure.
No time for any of that, because I think if you ever spent that moment in that room watching this go down in person, you would have a completely different idea about what the Rock Hall is about. It is a magical, emotional thing. And it's taken me down a couple of times,
That's awesome. That's great. Your comment about, you have that thought during the rehearsal process of, I don't know if I can keep doing this and all that. That certainly resonates with me. Probably about 4 times a year, I'll be involved with some gig or whatever, and it's like, what have I gotten myself into? This is stupid. And my wife has gotten so used to this, where I'll come home from a rehearsal or something and be like, okay, well, this project, this isn't gonna, like, this is gonna have to be the end of it. She's like, okay, she hears me out. And then, the gig happens or whatever, and I text her at set break or whatever. I'm like, this is freaking amazing. I definitely want to do it. She's like, yep, I know.
I went through that exact same thing with my wife last year. I remember being outside the venue in Cleveland on the phone with her, just going, I don't think I can do it. I don't know how this is going to go tonight. I don't think I can do it. And in hindsight, I look back on it, and she's just on the other end of the phone going, yeah, okay, whatever,
Whatever. Yep. I can be here for you if you need to vent, but we all know what's going to happen in the end, or at least one of us does. Yeah. But that's part of it. Like, I think we just had our well pump. Our well pump recently announced the end of its illustrious 43-year career, and so we had guys out to replace the well pump. And there was a moment.
Not the well, just the pump.
Just the pump, but it's still
that's
like
good
you.
to
Yeah. Like the well's fine, but they still had to pull up 300 feet of all the stuff. So it's a big ordeal, and.
Dude, don't tell me this. I'm on a well here.
Well, let me tell you though, it was really not that big of a deal. Like, we called them at 11:30 in the morning, and by 6 p.m. that night, we were finished. Like, it was all set. Yeah, they this is how these businesses run. It's fine. But what was interesting is, 43 years. It had been 43 years since they opened this thing up, and so there were some bolts and things that had not been touched in 43 years. And I hear them outside, and it was a relatively cold day, and so I go out and I'm like, hey, can I get you anything? Is there anything I can do? And they ask, yeah, I need a brick. And I realized this was a serious request, so it was like, okay, let's find you a brick. Okay, here's a brick. And I back in the house, and we had to have the door cracked open because they were plugged into something in the house for electric, and it was fine. And I can hear the frequency of profanity increasing, and this is when I know that we're getting somewhere. Right? I mean, it's the same thing. And finally, I hear the crew chief say, and this is about 4:30 in the afternoon, right? He says, we're going to be on a Friday, no less. We're going to be here till friggin' 2 in the morning. And it was in that moment that I knew everything was going to be fine, because you kind of have to, like, with these things that are difficult, you have to just surrender yourself to the process and whatever it is. And no less than 10 minutes later, that they're pulling the well out, like they got the thing and it was all fine and everything was good and everything was fine. But sometimes, with difficult things, you just got to get to that point where you need to say to somebody, I don't know how this is going to go, but I'm not going to give up, right? Like, that's the implied part is I'm going to stick it through, but man, I'm getting too old for this, or whatever the comment is, I'm going to be here till 2 in the morning, the whole thing. And then that's when you're committed, and it's great. And I told him this afterwards. I said to him, I'm like, that's when I knew. And he's like, that's when you knew we were legit, right? And I'm like, yeah, pretty much. So
because they aren't coming in going, I got some bad news for you.
I have bad news, right? There was none of that. It was they were there to make it happen, and it's the same thing with what you're talking about here. So yeah,
I mean, that's a great metaphor for what we're talking about here.
Same thing, yeah.
But I think one of the more challenging things for me in that seat, and I think for any of the mixers on the show, is that you because of the range of people that are coming into the Rock Hall now, you are unquestionably going to be asked to mix something that you've never been into. I mean, you've never.
Of course.
Okay, I don't have any of their records. I don't really listen to them. So it demands a kind of a form of really how do I want to kind of say this? A form of study, where you've kind of got to get into it a little bit as a fan, but you've also got to kind of break it down and go, okay, how am I going to mix this? What are the sensibilities of this music that need to be presented there, right?
So I was going to ask you this question, like, because as musicians and front of house engineers, right, we deal with this all the time where it's, there's a band and there's an engineer and you've been paired up to work together for this evening and you've never met before. So
Correct.
Like, what information is valuable to you in those moments to be communicated efficiently? Of course, is the assumption,
Right. That communication path is hard sometimes. I mean, it's really, really difficult. I've gotten, it's a little bit of it has been, I'm going to say this as cautiously as I can. I've had to kind of retrain or train the Rock Hall people to the information that I need.
Yes.
Because it's easy to kind of just shut the door and just go, oh, he's just out in front of house. He's just going to be mixing sound. It's going to be fine. No, that's not it. I need to know this. Like, and I think this is actually going to grow over time if I stay with the Rock Hall. It's like, and it's gotten better over the last few years, where it's like, okay, if those bands are rehearsing, because remember, they're going to come and play something. They might even have an ensemble that's brand new, and it's going to be a tribute to their music. It's not even going to be them playing, right? Necessarily, right?
Sure.
So
yeah.
it's like, what I need to know is who's singing when, is there a guitar solo, who's going to play it, those kind of things, so that I can anticipate those moves on the console. Because once they start playing and you figure out who it is, it's too late by then. It's like, I've got to be able to know those kind of moves and anticipate it. So, over recent time now, I've got them to, if these bands are assembling in Los Angeles or assembling in New York and they're rehearsing, please record that and at least let me hear it.
Yeah.
And then I'll ask some questions. Who's playing this solo here? Who's playing this here? Where is the DJ part of the mix, or is the band part of the mix? What's the primary here? Things like that you need to ask on site, but a lot of times nobody's there on site. They're in the broadcast truck.
Right.
So,
right. Oh yeah.
So it gets really challenging. So, luckily, very luckily, I think in my world, there are things like YouTube that I can go look somebody up and see performances and at least get some sense of it, and get a sense of what's going to happen. I mean, I'll give you the extreme example of this. When Dolly Parton went in, Judas Priest went in on the same show, so they're the same. And they have, at some point they're going to do a medley together. I've said this, laughingly at times, but it was just the coolest moment in the world to have two faders sitting right beside each other on the console, Dolly and Rob Halford, and they're going to sing Jolene. I was just like, wow, what is happening in my world right now, So, and it turned out to be just an incredible moment in that show. It was so good,
That's pretty cool though. Huh. That's interesting. Yeah. Is there any, and obviously you're looking at YouTube videos, smart, any recordings that the band can provide of the rehearsal process and all of that. Is there any conversation that you ever get to have with the band, or communication from the band, of especially something that you have no sort of inherent knowledge of, asking, what do you sound like? Like, is there any of that where, what are you trying to, what is the goal here? What are you trying to replicate?
Not really. There's
Okay.
not that kind of conversation. If I have kind of conversation, it's usually with their front of house engineer.
That makes sense. Okay.
I will be in touch with them.
Yeah.
And their front of house engineer is welcome to come and sit and guide me through things, and they do all the time. It's a huge help, and I always try to be as open as possible at that, saying, dude, if you're not hearing something, I'm missing a cue, please speak up.
Yeah.
No egos here. I'm
we want the mix to be
water
good.
for dear life here, so if there's something I'm missing, please speak up. You're not going to hurt my feelings at all here.
Right. Right.
So that's in play, and that's
where that conversation happens, is with the person that already knows that answer for them and speaks your language. Yeah, that makes sense.
it's a union gig. I mean, and the producers are just never going to allow. I mean, they're just never going to allow a guest engineer to sit down at the console and mix it. There's just too much at stake.
Yeah.
They just won't do it.
Yeah.
And I've been on the other end of that. I've been on
of course,
the end where I've come in and been the guy to go, no, here, do this, and that'll be better, and blah, blah. Yeah.
Bring this harmony up, do this. Yep.
Yeah. No, that's not the lead note in the harmony.
That's not that, right. Yeah. This is a conversation that comes up more and more frequently, it seems. When mixing a band that, like Def Leppard, for example, you spent some time on the road with them, and they're a harmony band, for sure. How do you approach that? Were you actively mixing their vocals live to get that balance? Were they doing a lot of that balancing on stage? How do you approach that, and how do you want a band to approach that when you're in the position to mix them?
Well, that was a good instance there. That was a good time in history there, because at that point, you think about those Def Leppard vocal stacks on those records, man. They're
so good.
They're ridiculous,
Ridiculous.
And they could have very easily, at that point in history, bailed out and just sampled them all.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
Sure. That was right when samplers the Echo 8, the S900 and the 1000 came out during that period, and they could have done this. And I always want to back off and give them credit for this, that they refused to do that. They just refused to do it. They just said, we're not a rock band if we do that. And they really dug in. I watched them just pour some real blood and sweat into learning how to sing those parts in a way where 5 vocalists could make it sound real. And you know, you have me put a little grease on it out front, do some treatment to it out front, and you get 5 vocals that are very well performed and, you know, in pitch, on note. You can make that sound really big. And when it's apparent to the audience that they're actually singing that and it comes across that way, man, I mean, it's real. That's a real thing that happens at a show. And, you know, the irony of it at the time in the late 80s there was that I had done a microphone endorsement. I think it was for Electro Voice, I think.
Okay.
And I actually used that as part of the quote, because we used to get people coming back to like in the dressing room, all the other stuff, like music people coming back going, what samplers are you guys using? And we'd always go, we're not using any samplers. We're just using a voice and a microphone, and the sound god up front is taking care of it, you know?
Yeah.
And so it became this kind of running joke, you know, okay, how many people tonight accused you of using samplers, you know?
That's great.
So I made it part of the ad, you know, people
Sure.
always ask us, you know, what samplers are we using? We say, we're not using them. We're using Electro Voice microphones. So,
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
so
I was impressed when I saw, go ahead.
Yeah. I was just going to say they were always just so on the game, on point about it, you know, and I always respected that with them, really did.
And to answer, to sort of reframe my first question, how actively were you mixing those harmonies? I mean, would you just kind of set them at an equal level and let them blend it, or were you actively blending things for them?
It's both. I mean,
okay.
You know, they relied on monitors, you know, I mean, that was really early ear monitors. I mean,
they were using ears back then.
Some of the earliest ear monitors. They were using ear monitors and wedges and such.
Sure.
They were just, you know,
everything,
doing all of it.
Yeah.
But, you know, they certainly needed to hear each other in terms of creating those harmony stacks on who was doing what. But there was certainly, you know, like you get to know the pieces a little bit and kind of realize, no, that's Rick Allen's vocal that needs to push there. You know, we need to feel that harmony here to make that really read. You know, as a mixer, you're starting always thinking like that, you know?
Yeah.
And likewise, you know, there's always like, okay, you know, and this was kind of the trick with it that I don't think people got a lot of times. And me and Joe worked on this quite a bit, is like, there are times when he would drop down as the lead vocalist and sing an important piece of the harmony, and you couldn't leave him sticking out in the lead vocal position. You had to duck him into the harmony and let it happen, right? Yep. So it was just a lot of work and a lot of working to go, okay, yeah, I get that now. I'll make that move every night. You know,
every night, you know, when they make the move, you make the move, and
because he can't back out of it vocally. He's got to be singing at full voice, but it's like, okay, well, that can't be the lead vocal right now. That's part of the harmony right now. So
that's interesting. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, yeah. So really, that's one of those things where putting in the reps is what gets you there. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's why I just always say I never have enough rehearsal time, especially then. I mean, we didn't have, you know, virtual sound check didn't exist then. I mean, it was the band running reps. And I remember when I hit rehearsals with them for the first time for a Hysteria tour, we were in Holland, and man, I couldn't get over how hard that band worked. I mean, we would be in rehearsals. I mean, they'd be going at it for, you know, 5, 6, 8 hours a day. I mean, they were hammering on it, you know.
Well,
but you know, there was a lot of expectation there, man. I mean, they knew what was at stake there. Yeah. So they really put in the time on it, and it paid off. I mean, it ended up being a great sounding tour. You know?
Yeah, I saw them not that long ago. They played, JBL used to do these private parties at the Joint during CES week, and they did one of them recently-ish, last 5 years or so. And I was blown away with how well they still all sing together. I mean, it was clear that this was just the way they do things. You know, it was like, I
mean, I think a lot of that came from working with Mutt Lange, honestly. And Mike Shipley, for that matter, you know, because, you know, Mike was the engineer that was working kind of on behalf of Mutt. And, man, I mean, those studio sessions were, they were tough, man. I mean, there was, like I said, there was a lot of expectation. I mean, I did just a smidge of engineering work on Adrenalize, you know, kind of filling in for Mike Shipley for a little bit of time. And it was a grinder, man. I mean, it was like, and I mean, I was probably in a lane that I didn't need to be in. You know,
Sure.
I wasn't ready, but it was an incredible learning experience, and I learned a lot about their production process in that process at that time. You know,
Huh.
I mean, I remember that was all pre-Pro Tools, any of that stuff. That was all,
Yeah.
Notator probably or something like that being done.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, probably. Right. Yeah. Fascinating. All right. I'm going to put you on the spot here. I will ask these questions as yes or no questions in case that's all you want to give. However, the answer is open-ended. So
It's never been my way to answer yes or no. I'll just
I know. You may wait till you hear the question. So mixing Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you mixed Rush for years as their primary front of house engineer for a long time. Did you wind up mixing their induction performance too?
I did not. I did not.
Interesting.
Although I paid to go see it. I traveled in to see it.
Good for you.
But yeah, that was after my time. I think Brad was already mixing it at that point.
I just wasn't sure if you would have mixed it because it was a union gig and you would have been mixing.
No, I didn't start at the Rock Hall till, I guess, right at COVID, 2021.
Oh, interesting.
20,
okay.
something like that. I mean, I've done it the last 5-6 years. So
relatively recently. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. So now I'm doing my math here. So you did not mix Prince at Rock and Roll Hall of Fame either.
Well, funny enough, that was the year that Petty went in.
Aha.
So I was mixing Petty, and funny enough, they let me, maybe I shouldn't reveal this. They let me sit at the console and mix that.
Really?
Right. I mean, that was when it was at the Astoria. I mean, Rock Hall was
different
still,
time.
Different time for sure. It was all pre-record. There was no live broadcast necessarily.
Right.
So that whole Prince, While My Guitar Gently Weeps thing, I mixed that.
You mixed that
to the audience. Yeah.
For the house audience. Fascinating. Yeah. That's pretty iconic. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was an amazing day. Because
I can imagine.
He didn't show up for rehearsals. He wasn't there for rehearsals. And what's really funny is if you watch that YouTube video, just try to catch looks at the other guys in the band when he walks out and starts this, because everybody's like, well, we assume he's going to solo. He's probably going to come out and take the solo. And sure enough, he wasn't even on stage for the beginning of it, and then walks out and takes the solo. I mean, it was just an amazing moment,
Huh. Oh, so you didn't know either whether he was going to take this solo. You had to be ready for whatever.
I had my finger on the fader, just thinking, I'm ready for you, big fella. Bring it on. I'm okay. Yeah. You play, I'll turn it up.
Wow. Huh. What a crazy thing. And not there for rehearsal. That seems on brand. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was lots of conversation on stage that I wish I had recorded. They were just amazing.
Sure.
It's like, I don't know what he's going to do. You think he's going to solo? Yeah, he might solo. He'll probably it was just like this whole kind of meeting of the minds, he'll probably solo. Yeah.
He'll probably solo. He probably soloed. In retrospect, I think that's fair to say.
I think it's fair to say that he soloed during that. Yeah.
He definitely did.
It was absolutely iconic, man. I mean, you sat there with your finger on it, just kind of going, geez, are you kidding me right now? That's maybe the greatest guitar solo I ever heard in my life,
Certainly the greatest live solo. I mean, it just so epic. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
That's 100%. Great. Yeah. Fascinating.
See, these are not yes and no questions. I'm just telling you.
Well, you could have said yes. You were there, and then that's it. See, and then we would have moved on. So there you go. Always leave you an out. Speaking of things that you wished you had recorded, when Brad Maddox was on most recently, he alluded to a story and then said it wasn't his story to tell, because we were talking about how he was doing a bunch of recording, and his mantra, we say on the show, always be performing. His mantra is always be recording. And
good mantra.
Yeah. Well, and he alluded to a story that I believe is yours to tell about always be recording things, if it's okay to ask that question.
Well, okay, now, Dave, this is certainly not a yes or no question. So
no, it's not.
I'm just going to throw that out for consideration here. If it's the story I think he's talking about, I mean, I don't know for certain that this is what he's talking about, but the first thing that comes to mind is I was with Petty, and this is when the venue consoles were out. We were in rehearsals, and they were shooting footage for Running Down a Dream, right? The movie.
Okay.
Peter Bogdanovich was there, et cetera. And we were recording to Pro Tools all the time, et cetera. We had already started that whole process years earlier. But we were using Pro Tools with Venue now, which was a kind of a new thing. And that was the multi-track that was going to be used for the film. Like, they didn't bring in a recording truck or anything. It's like my multis were going to be used
Sure.
for the remix. So great. So out of the blue one day, Stevie Nicks comes strolling in.
The answer is yes. This is the story that Brad was alluding to.
Okay,
yes.
good.
Yeah.
So she's going to, and I mean, this is completely unplanned. I mean, there was no preparation for this or anything. Hey, Stevie wants to sit in and sing a couple songs. Okay, great. All right. So
Amazing.
We scramble around, get the mic set up, input on the console, et cetera, whole 9 yards. And the illustrious front of house engineer forgot to create a new track for her in the Pro Tools session. So, one of those things where you're mixing it going, wow, this is really good. This is going to be a nice moment in the movie.
It's not in the movie.
No, it's not.
No.
Excuse me. So, long story short, yes. Did I feel terrible? Oh, beyond terrible,
Yeah, but it happens, right? I mean,
and
that's
had
like,
to, be accountable to Ms. Nix, which
yes.
is, I didn't want to have to do that. And in fairness to her, man, she was so gracious about it. I mean, she was just ridiculously great about it.
That's great. That's good.
But that said, it got me thinking, because I was working for DigiDesign at the time, and it actually drove part of the definition of what this feature in Pro Tools called Venue Link is, right? Which allows you to, I don't know how many users know this is even possible in the consoles, but in the Venue consoles, if you have it connected to Pro Tools, you can, and it recognizes that you're connected to a Venue console, you get an additional option when you open a new session that says build session from Venue, right? So if you engage that and you create a new session, it looks upstream and it goes, I see all of these mic pre's in play. I'm going to make new tracks for them, repatch it. It takes an hour's worth of work and boils it down to about a minute and a half, right?
Wow.
So it creates a session that is perfectly set up for that. So if I would have had that there, I would have just recreated a new session. It would have automatically created a track, put it in record, and everything would have been fine, right?
Yep. And then it would have been in the movie.
And then it would have been in the movie, yes.
Yep. Alas. This is how iterative design happens, right?
Yes.
Like, this is why these features exist, because you wanted it in the past, but other than having a time machine, you just create the feature for the future. It's how it
I
works.
actually gave that story as the example in this document called a PRD, which, in engineering circles and in manufacturing circles, a PRD is a product requirement document. So if you're going to have a new feature or a new piece of hardware, you write this document that tells what it's supposed to do. And I gave that as the validation for why we need this. I gave that story as the validation.
Yeah.
So.
Go watch this movie and notice that Stevie Nicks isn't in it.
It's not in it. Yes.
Right.
That's why we need to fix that.
That's why we need it. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Well, thank you for closing that loop, because Brad left it dangling wide open. Yeah.
Thank you for bringing up that painful memory again.
Sure.
I do appreciate that. Yes.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you
what
so
I'm here
much,
for.
Dave.
Yeah, you're welcome. That's what friends are for.
Love you. Mean it.
Yeah, I love you too. Yeah. Speaking of technology and keeping in the frame of this whole Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing, you wound up using a pretty cool piece of tech at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, this Alpha Labs D-Feedback. I would call it a plugin, and it is a plugin, but it generally requires its own hardware to run. So talk a little bit about this.
Well, this is a fascinating story in my mind. I don't even know how to start framing this. So I didn't even know this existed. I had no idea this thing was even a thing.
Sure.
And I run this, which you've been to a few times. I run this weekly meeting called the Back Lounge, where industry people come and hang out. It's totally casual. We have no agenda other than just kind of being friends and hanging out and telling war stories. But a guy locally here was in the meeting, and he goes, "Hey, have you tried this thing called D-Feedback?" And I was like, "I don't even know what that is. Tell me about it." So he kind of explained it, only to find out that Devin Sheets the guy who has invented this thing lives an hour from me.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
it was like,
oh, this is like serendipitous.
yeah, because I was like, okay, I live kind of out in the outback here. I mean, you're telling me he lives an hour from me? So long story short, within 24 hours, I had one in my hands, I just called him up and said, hey, I want to try this. I hear good things about it. You interested in having me try it out?
Yeah.
And we met at a coffee shop, halfway between our
Love that.
things. And he handed off the computer and the hardware for it. So, I probably initially had the same reaction I think that the industry is having when they hear the name defeedback, right? Which is just thinking, oh, this is just another auto equalizer, or it's just an expander. I've already got all that figured out.
It's like PSE has basically been the standard
PSE,
for that, right? You're right. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Only to find out.
PSE being primary source expander, folks.
Right.
We talked about it when Pooch was on the show. I'll link to it, but it essentially samples the sound as it's happening very, very quickly and cuts out anything that's feedback. In a nutshell. Yeah,
and well, I mean, if it's and maybe we'll get to this at some point here, but if it's essentially a 50-45, a Neve 50-45, it's just really well done expansion.
Sure.
Right? I mean, that's really what it is for the most part. So, there are two kinds of devices that have typically done this through the years, right? Either an expander or an auto equalizer, something that senses, recursive audio and puts in a notch filter and does it. So, I guess what I was going to say, I probably had the same reaction everybody else was like, okay, well, it's another one of these, so
yeah,
maybe I'll check it out. Only to find out after talking to Devin for a very short period of time, I was like, okay, no, we're in a very, very different world here. This is, AI learning. This is, kind of not formative AI yet, but it's AI learning and then doing reverse IR to eliminate background noise. Right.
Oh, okay.
And reverb. It's not just going after feedback, but having almost no possibility of feedback is a byproduct of it. And so as I got it here and I started playing with it, I started to realize, oh boy, we are in a very, very different time here. It's easy to get out over your skis with it, I guess is the way you could put it. But this kind of thing for our world, for live sound, I'm talking now. Where we always have a microphone and the speaker system that is delivering those microphones in the same room. This is going to be transformative for that environment.
Huh.
I mean, you're just going to reset the whole game now when you have this kind of capability on it.
And it works well. I mean, you've clearly, I believe you used it at Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and other things since then, but it works.
Well, and before I say it works, because it does, it absolutely.
Okay,
works.
great.
I kind of got to give some backstory on it because
Sure.
I've become a really, really big fan of Devin here over my course of a few months of working kind of closely with him on this, and people like Devin are the people that we need desperately in the audio business. People that are not bound to a company, not bound to some equity group, any of that kind of thing. They just see the problem. And they just take the bone into the mouth and just go, I am going to solve this problem. And Devin has been kind of like that. He's kind of said, he's, I think, amazingly said at times, I can't believe no one solved this already.
Those are the best kind of
somebody
people.
is out there has solved this already, but they haven't.
Yeah. But they haven't, no. And that, I love it when I hear somebody say that. They don't realize how smart they are, right?
Yeah.
They say, oh, this is obvious to me. How come it's not? Of course it's obvious to other people. It's like, well, let's not assume.
And, with Devin, it started out as really a very humble goal. I mean, this very kind of humble, simple thing is like, I just want to make churches sound better. So the whole thing was targeted at like this initial version of the plugin, which we're only barely a year into the development of this thing with it, So to me, it's just amazing that it works as fluently as it does. But his goal was to say, okay, I want to make lavaliers and lectern mics work, regardless of what environment they're in, and just eliminate feedback. If I can do that, this is a huge win. Now, I'm making it sound really simple, as if this was really simple to do, but he's done that, that is what the current version of the plugin is completely optimized for.
Every theater on Broadway wants this, I would assume. Every theater everywhere would want this, right? Because that's even worse. Like, cause those lav mics are the killer, right?
Yeah,
for this kind of thing. So it's a handheld directional mic still has feedback problems, but nothing like dealing with a lav.
Nothing like dealing with labs and other things.
Huh.
So, like the demonstrations of it are pretty compelling. You kind of go, wow, man. And then I got it here and started doing my own kind of experiments and, data gathering on it.
Yeah.
Only to realize, I couldn't pack it up fast enough before Rock Hall. I was thinking that's going with me. And I hadn't really committed to using it when I got there, but I thought this is going to be a great, 911 insert. So like if things go completely haywire there on a vocalist, whatever, because I've had that happen in the past. I can think in the past, some of the Rock Hall moments where I would have given my left arm to have this there.
Sure.
One was, Dionne Warwick was going in, very late in her life, and she was going to sing. And, it was just one of those things where she held the mic really low, like it was down nearly to her belly button, and is trying to sing. So, the recursive environment around that microphone was just, you were going to, if you could get that vocal to 90 dB, you were winning, absolutely winning.
Yeah.
And then, the act that comes after Dionne Warwick is Ozzy, so it's like, it made it feel even quieter, so.
Right.
But this plugin would have been the absolute solution for that setting. It would have absolutely saved the day there for that. So, where am I going with all this? Well, it is an amazing piece of gear, and he's taken an amazing approach on it. And he's the first to admit, he goes, look, the whole idea of reverse IR has been around for a long, long time. Nobody's bundled it like this and made it work like this. Now, he's done an incredible amount of testing on it already. Like he took it upon himself to invest in going out and finding coders. He's like, there's somewhere out there is a coder that I'll be able to explain this to, and they'll be able to kind of go, they'll probably get kind of this moment of kind of going, well, that's kind of cute. Yeah, we could probably do that, So
interesting. So he's not even the programmer behind this. He's not the engineer behind it. No. He just knew that the tech existed. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Wow.
He has a really good understanding of computers and how they work,
clearly,
et cetera.
Yeah, clearly.
But the coding itself, he was not going to do that. He had to do that. And then he becomes kind of the audio filter for it to say, okay, well, that's doing it great, but the audio sounds terrible. We need to get the audio back in
better
shape and can drive the coders back and forth to do this, which he has done,
So just to so everybody understands that this is there's two versions of this that you can get. We'll put links in the show notes, but there's a single channel and a 4-channel instance. Like I said, you can download the plugin, but you're not going to be able to run it on the same computer that's doing your DAW with any, it's going to hate you.
Yeah, it's a VST3 plugin.
What's that?
It's a VST3 plugin. So, you can install it, but it's very sensitive to the computer. And once you start to realize it, it's like, well, of course it is.
Of course.
Because there are, with the version 2, I know he was talking about it. He said there are literally billions of real-time calculations that are taking place in this to be able to do its thing. And
it needs to be the priority, right?
Yeah.
And so this single channel instance is $444, and the 4-channel instance is $1,350. But but
there's hardware that comes with that. Like he's
that
selling,
is the hardware, right? And then you buy a $500 license to the software too. Right. Yeah. Okay.
So he's got this company that's making NUCs for him, NUC, like little block computers that have been completely optimized to run this plugin. Right?
Got it.
Like when you order that computer from the company, they put his disk image on it, and it's ready to go when it shows up. And then the next piece of it that is also the challenging part of it is get audio drivers that will work with an audio interface for it, to do it. And, that's, he's, I don't want to speak too much for him here, but, that was apparently a very, very big challenge, was to find audio interfaces that would work in that environment and not drop samples.
And that's why, and it seems like they've standardized on the Focusrite Gen 4 stuff.
Well, just recently Gen 4, I think. I think the Gen 4 drivers didn't work for a long time. It was only Gen 3 drivers that were working. And
Okay.
you know, his testing on it, which is pretty stringent. I'm trying to replicate it here. I've got a couple of live boxes back here. I've got a Dante version, a Matty version. I've got
Yep.
a DAD Core 256. I've got 5045s where I'm doing all these kind of comparisons and latency checks with it. But that's the challenge: is you put it into a null test and let it run for a week, record it for a week,
Yeah.
and then look for drop samples
For
at
drops,
that time. You know,
Yeah.
So the Focusrite, though, actually the little box I got sitting back here is one of the only ones that survived it, and that's the one I took on the Rock Hall. So to use.
Fascinating.
But
Fascinating.
you know, I see a lot of people, like there's a lot of energy out there of people trying to use their own computers, trying to use their Mac, et cetera. I'm just like, fellas, you know, you're going to be using this on your lead vocal. How about we use the hardware that we know works? Okay.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm about using the one that works. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, you want to be able to rely on it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's part of the beauty of the whole thing. Maybe, you know, we'll get into I brought some graphics with me today that we can look at from some testing that I did.
Sure.
But part of the magic of this thing, I mean, the absolute magic of it is because it uses reverse IR to cancel reverb around the microphone. and cancel-
Explain to people what reverb, just quickly, and I realize this is not something that's usually done quickly, but if you can, you know, the 10,000 foot view of
I'll
reverse
give you
IR.
the explanation that Devin gave me, which I thought was
Perfect.
priceless. He goes,
Great.
How many times as an audio engineer have you stood in a venue and said, you know, if we could just put the reverb out of polarity and cancel it in the room, it would sound a lot better. Well,
Yes.
that's really almost exactly what's being done here. Right?
Perfect.
So,
Yeah.
you know, part of the training of the AI is like he's taken impulse responses, impulse
Yeah.
responses of hundreds and hundreds of spaces to teach the AI what to look for.
Okay, so when we use the term AI, we're using the machine learning version
Correct.
of AI, where they've done all of the heavy lifting of crunching all of these samples so that in real time this thing can recognize patterns and know what to do with them.
Correct, because that's AI's strength, right? Is
That's what
recognizing
AI
trend.
does.
Absolutely.
Right. Yep.
And I, you know, I've said that for ages now. It's like when we can turn audio into trend data, AI will be a really, really big help for us here. And he's
Yeah.
kind of done that.
And he's
here,
done
you
it.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you train the AI to look for reverb and understand what it is, and then do a reverse version of it and literally cancel it out. But you also train it what a voice is. So it says, "Oh, voice, you can come on through." Right?
So it's
So there's
it's
a lot
little
of voice
more
training as well as AI training. So that's how he can get such good results for a lavalier and a lectern mic, because these are single voices, you know, and it does a really excellent job with that piece of it. Now, I mean, once we get through this, we can talk about some of the challenges with it that he's going to try to address going forward.
Sure.
He is going to address it going forward. I've already seen some of the work on it.
Yeah.
So, you know, the next version of it, I think, is going to be truly amazing. But this first version of it was, gosh, man, I would have no problem just taking this and saying, here, use this. I mean, I did it at Rock Hall.
I was going to say you did. Yeah.
There were two acts that I thought, okay, this will be a good test to see if this actually works here. And one was Elton John, because Elton has typically really loud monitors. I mean, he has some of the loudest wedges I've ever heard come around a vocal, you know, and it almost ends up making the vocal sound chorusy at times. And it's a combination of monitor and the voice. And so I thought, well, maybe there, I might need to try it there. The other was with Cyndi Lauper. You know, I mean, you know, Cyndi, you know, kind of has a reputation of being a little erratic with her microphone. She doesn't necessarily have, comparative to other singers, the strongest voice in the world.
Sure,
so I thought, okay, maybe I'll just have it standing by there for her.
Yep.
And then late in the game, I was informed that Cyndi was going to sit in and be one of the singers at the Joe Cocker tribute. Right.
Got it.
And I was like, okay.
Here we go.
So here we go. You know, 2 drummers, B3, percussion, multiple guitars, etc. You know, I mean, the background noise alone was going to be an issue. And then there was going to be an incredible set of singers around her, right? I mean, you were going to have, you know, Susan Tedeschi, I mean, incredible, strong singer.
Yeah.
Teddy Swims, all these guys, Chris from Black Crowes. And you know, my thinking was, okay, how, you know, before I was thinking defeedback, I was like, okay, how am I going to get Cyndi Lauper to come up and hang vocally with that?
Yeah.
Like, she's got to be able to be right there.
She's got to be right in the mix.
And make it right, you know? So game before feedback I knew was going to be an issue for sure. And certainly the background bleed was going to be an issue. I thought, oh boy, This is going to be a challenge. I mean, any other show, I would have just been like, okay, we're going to end the night with the biggest challenge. So I thought, let's roll the dice. Let's put it on. I mean, we were in blocking rehearsals. Luckily, she came to blocking with the band, to kind of rehearse it a little bit. And I put it on there. And man, I'm just telling you, my mind sitting at the console was going, how is this possible right now?
Wow.
How is this possible right now? I mean, I was literally pushing, like as a mixer, in that live environment, you'll get to a point where you can kind of feel it.
Sure.
Start to get out of control where you think, okay, that's probably the top of my fader range there. If I go past that, all bets are off,
But you went past it, didn't you?
I literally felt like I need something to cut a bigger groove above the fader. I couldn't go farther here. I mean, it just seemed like there was no end to it,
I can see that. Yeah.
And kind of the coolest part of it, I mean, I'm attracted to little pieces of it where I just think, my God, I would pay 2 times that just to have that facility.
Yeah.
Is that like, because it uses reverse IR, right? It doesn't really matter what level the source, the vocal comes in, it's just going to pass it on through.
Right.
Right. It doesn't care.
It doesn't. No, it will let you get it too loud.
That goes through, that doesn't. So there's no threshold to set. No threshold, no attack release, nothing. There is just percentage of process, I mean, 100% sounds really tight around the vocal. I mean, it's
sure.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing happening around it. And that didn't necessarily feel natural to me, although I could certainly see you using that in lavalier land and lectern land. No question.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But I loosened it up to about 80%, and it was just like, that vocal just came up just as far as I wanted to go, just sounded as dry as I wanted it to sound. I was thinking, amazing. I mean, my head was kind of going, what world are we living in right now?
That's awesome.
I mean, background noise was pushed way back. It wasn't any competing drums or guitars. I mean, it's still in there a little bit, but it's not, it's not optimized for that. The next version will be optimized for noise reduction as well as.
Oh, so this is get rid of the feedback in the room noise and prioritize the vocal. That's V1. That's what we have. The proof of concept. That's it.
But yet, I was talking, me and Sully Sullivan have been talking a lot about it. It's like, I would have used it for the noise reduction capability it has now.
Right.
I can't imagine it being what it's going to be like when it's better in V2,
Yeah.
So, that piece of it, I mean, compared to a 5045, so I'll give you the comparison using 5045 here, which I'm a huge fan of the 5045. But if I got hardware units sitting to my left, maybe I got 6 channels, 8 channels of it. There's different vocalists in that for every recall of the next band. Right.
Right.
So I've got to have, when those acts start, it's like I'm either going from memory or a jot down but I'm resetting, depth and threshold on every one of those as that performance goes on. Because it's new for every singer.
Yeah, because it's different for each singer, right?
Right. So, but I don't have to do that with the feedback. If it's on there, it's working, and go to work. Don't even think about that threshold,
Love that.
So just that piece of it was just incredible. It's fantastic.
That's outstanding
experience.
You want to try a demo in your loud bouncy room there?
Well, yeah. I mean, maybe not apparent to the listeners here, but I'm in a big space here. I mean, I'm out in my lab, and it's reverberant in here. It's probably 40 by 60 feet. 16-foot ceilings, so it's big.
I'm going to turn off the noise suppression that I have on the audio feed here. The video feed doesn't get my audio noise suppression for you, but so I've turned that off. So
I'm going to turn off defeedback then,
which has been running, by the way, the whole time.
Which has been running the whole time. Yeah.
Okay. So there you go.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's see if I can do this here.
We'll see if this experiment works, folks. We love experiments. Oh, I can already hear something changed.
Right. So, this should be pretty reverberant now.
Yeah.
In this space. Yeah.
Yep. Very. Yeah.
So you can see it knocks down the room, it knocks down background noise, etc. So.
Oh yeah, and you've got, not only do you have the noise of the room, but you have other things in the room, fans and computers and things running.
Yeah,
that it's knocking down.
There's a lot going on in here right
Oh yeah, people would hate us if we made them listen to this for an hour.
I used to do this in my lab series. I mean, I had so much gating going on in that thing. I would have given anything to have this. It would have completely solved that issue for me.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, let me go put that back on.
Yeah, please go put it back on. Yeah.
Oh, come on.
And there
And
you
just
can
for the
hear it
record,
kick
that's
back
sitting
in,
that's sitting at about 80% process.
80%.
So it could be tighter than that.
Can you clap your hand again? Because we got to hear that one more time. Yep. Okay. Yeah. That's great. Amazing.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to kick in the noise suppression on my end again just to tighten everything up. So, yeah.
Well,
Amazing.
and that's the beauty of it. I think, I think next time I go out and use it again, I will probably use defeedback and then put another 50-45 after it, because I mean, the threshold will work just perfectly then, like you won't have to readjust it really at all. You just set it very loose in terms of threshold and it'll work great.
And I just run Waves NS1 here kind of as my default for when I bring guests in, if they're in a noisy room or whatever. And so running D-feedback plus NS1 kind of approximates what you're going to get with the 50-45. It's same. Now, it's not the same, but it's similar. Yeah.
Now, that said, at Rock Hall, I just did the D-feedback. There was no 50-45, no expansion after it. It was just 50-45, and it worked phenomenal. So
amazing.
Yeah.
Love that.
So, I mean, we're in the midst of, I mean, I'm loath to overstate it here, but I mean, this could be transformative for our industry. I mean, I've said this to Devin on countless occasions. Look, my man, anytime there is a microphone in the same room as the speaker, this has a seat at the table. So let your mind just wander at all the possibilities of when that is in play,
And eventually, our processors that we have in our racks already will be able to run this plugin by themselves. I mean, I look 5 years down the road. There's no question to me, like the way tech kind of
I would
evolves.
be careful with that.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because
all right.
David has let me in on this a little bit. I hope I'm not talking out of school here, because
Sure.
this would be pretty common knowledge out in the world. But the way computer development is going right now is not going to be good for low latency audio. Like,
no,
just
that's
the way
true.
processing is moving forward, they don't care about latency. Audio is a very, very small piece of the pie. They don't care if it's going to negatively impact us. The way computers and chips and math sets are being done in computers are not going to be great for low latency audio.
Fair.
So, and it's not to say that would disrupt the development of this device. It just means you got to compute it a different way. You got to come up with fixed computing, et cetera. So, the idea of using anybody's computer to do it will even fall farther away. So it's kind of why I lean into the whole concept of, look, just use what he tests.
Oh,
yes. And you'll be great,
Yes, I didn't mean to say don't. Today,
there's a lot of people out there trying to...
I know.
Kind of outsmart it. It's like, okay. I mean, that's kind of why I have Livebox here, because I'll be able to run it natively on that and just see how it turns out. Because obviously in music mixing, right? Music mixing, not the other thing, not even podcasts like this.
Sure.
Latency is a big deal. Like the throughput latency on it is a big deal.
Latency is a huge deal for the way I choose to record this show, because I'm hearing myself after all the processing. So
wow. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not. I'm hearing source right now. I don't
You get to hear source. No, I And I get maybe I've got a 15 to 20 millisecond delay on myself here.
Yeah, that'd make me crazy.
It's not as I'm very used to it. It's way better. When I moved from Firewire, I spent a short bit of time at USB, but when I moved to Thunderbolt for an audio interface, and just the interface latency was taken out of the equation. There's still processing latency. But when the interface latency was taken out of the equation, I was hearing myself too quickly. I needed to add more buffers, and then each week that I recorded the show, I would drop it down a millisecond or so until I got to a point where I could be like, okay, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
now.
I can deal.
I can deal. But it was I was hearing myself too quickly. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of the thing with Devin saying, I mean, it's a zero latency plugin. Yeah. It's the audio interface that causes all the latency right now. So.
Right. It's the interface. Yeah. And people there's less and less. Thunderbolt seems to have been a short-lived thing for audio interfaces. So I
don't want to speak too much out of my lane here, but I think what I'm using right now is Thunderbolt 4 on a PC.
That would make sense. Yes, that would make sense. It would be USB 4 or Thunderbolt 4, which are effectively the same thing. One's just certified by Intel. It's a whole. Right. That's for a different podcast. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we'll see. I'll tune into that one. Let me know when you do that one.
Oh, we've done it at Mac Gig Gab. It's the politics involved in a freaking interface is insane to me. But But whatever.
Tell us something we don't know there, Devin.
Yeah. So. Fun stuff.
Well, do you want to? I mean, like I said, I've gathered some data here. I've shared this in publicly already. So if you want to, although you're listen only, or do you want to do this visually?
We can do a little bit of it visually. I mean, we've been going for an hour and 10 minutes here, so I don't know how long we actually want to go. But we can do a little bit of that. Sure.
Well, let's do this. Share this screen up.
Okay.
So will people be able to watch this?
This will be available on YouTube for sure. Okay,
then this is worth it.
Then I will. Wait, how come I can't do that? There we go. So I will. For the audio audience, this will be on YouTube, but I will try and explain. We will try and explain what you're seeing here. So.
Yeah, so this is just a simple block diagram of my initial testing with it. This is all just the very first test that I did with it before I took it to Rock Hall. So I have a console here, I have an S6L here. So I just set up 4 input strips, and my first measurements were concerning latency. It's like, okay, well, how is the console going to handle the latency? What kind of additional latency is it going to be? So as you can see in the block diagram, there's just one raw input strip that is going to
that's your control group. Yep.
It's to FFT. And then I have another one that has a D feedback insert. Another one that just has an analog insert, just a typical analog insert.
Just to test how much the loop adds. Yep, got it.
Yeah, and then the same thing with a plug-in insert. I probably did some plug-in that has, maybe 80 or 90 samples in it, whatever.
Sure.
But the idea was, okay, I need to see if the console is going to recognize this additional latency, because remember, the D feedback is 2 A to D conversions here, right? Because I'm on a digital console, it's going to go analog out, be converted to digital at the second or at the focus right, converted back to analog, back again, it's going to be A to D, D to A to D, D to A.
Yeah.
So, because it's a digital insert, things like automatic delay compensation on the console are probably not going to recognize it.
Right.
So I just needed to kind of get my head around, okay, well, how much are we talking here? So this is what we came up with. So if you see this here, you can see all of those 4 inputs, heading to the left-right bus, and they're all getting there at a different time. This is with automatic delay compensation turned off on the console.
Okay. So the console's not trying to time align any of these things.
No, it's not just managing any of it. This is just a demonstration of the different throughput times, depending on the type of interface that you have, right?
Got it.
So as you can see here, the first impulse there is the control channel.
That comes in at 0. Yep, which makes perfect sense. Yep, there's nothing in its way. Yeah.
The plug-in insert is the second fastest, and the analog insert the third fastest, and input with the D feedback is the fourth, the lagging one of the bunch, right?
Which makes sense because it's doing all these extra conversions. Okay.
It does the extra set of A to D. So, that gave me a measure on how much additional latency it was causing. So I was like, okay, well, let me put my ADC back in now. And you can see the ADC shores up all of the other ones with the exception of the D feedback, right?
Because it knows what the ADC time aligns because it knows what it's dealing with. It doesn't know what D feedback's doing. So you would have to manually build this in. Got it.
Yeah. So, there's an element of manual delay compensation that I do to account for that additional latency. And it actually worked out really good. Like once the ADC does its thing, usually at the group level, I will have delay capability there to realign my groups, because I go through, like a 2, maybe sometimes 3-tier group structure that the ADC won't account for.
Won't see.
So it just became really easy. I just took the delay off the groups and added, it was probably adding 6 or 8 samples, and it put it right back in alignment with the music.
Amazing.
Process. So yeah, it was pretty easy to handle. But knowledge is data here. Or data is knowledge here, I should say.
Yeah.
When you have it, it's like, okay, I know exactly what we need to do here.
Amazing.
So from that, then kind of went to testing
And that delay was consistent, right? That 6 or 8 samples that you needed, that wasn't varying throughout the processing of anything. So okay,
No.
well, that's the most important part. I mean, if it was 10 seconds of delay, then you'd have a major problem. But it's not. It's 6 or 8 samples, and it's staying there consistently. So
yeah,
that's
I mean,
good.
I think the additional A to D conversion that the Focusrite was giving me was, I want to say it was about 3.5 milliseconds, something like that.
That makes sense. Yeah.
You know? And so then just putting it back in time, and then, or really just taking my group delay off, letting that vocal go through the group as the Focusrite, and then just adding another 6 or 8 samples, pulled it right back in time with the music. So
Perfect.
It worked out great for me. It just worked out really good.
Yep.
All right.
Amazing.
So then the next testing and kind of validation I was doing was on the IR thing. I wanted to see how good the IR cancellation was working. So similar kind of thing here, where you see me talking into a microphone and going into an input strip that has D feedback on it, right?
Okay. Yep.
I'm also talking into a second input strip that is doing nothing but feeding a reverb. Okay.
So you're adding problems to this to
I am
test
adding
for.
big problems.
Okay. Same microphone going into 2 channels effectively.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Second channel is just to drive the reverb, and then
Drive
that
the reverb. Yeah.
that reverb output goes directly out to a PA system here in the space.
Sure.
Right. So when I say check, it sounds like I'm in the Taj Mahal.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So, and I also recorded those outputs as well. So, the output of the D feedback channel goes to a DAW. The output of the reverb goes to the DAW, and you'll see why I did that here shortly. Now, I want to emphasize here that there is no explanation that's going to do validity to how loud this reverb was in this room.
Fair enough.
I mean, I literally, I still got the mic here. Here's the mic. I could no more just open or click my lips in that microphone, and it would just start regenerating.
Just start going. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it was just completely out of control, right? So, I recorded all of this, and obviously, just to kind of set the tone for it, started the recording with the D feedback off, so that it would just completely get out of control here, and then engage the D feedback and see how it handled it. Okay, so that's what you'll see here next.
Got it. Okay.
So as you can see here, the blue. Can you see my cursor by chance? Oops, sorry.
I don't. Oh yeah, we can see your cursor if you're watching the video. Yeah, for sure. No, for sure.
All right, so the top blue track is me saying check, right here.
Okay,
so that
got it.
impulse is me
Okay.
saying check, and the 2 green tracks are the reverb being recorded, right?
Got it. Okay, so this is only okay. So what we're seeing is a graph of stereo reverb and a mono source signal, and there you go. Okay,
Right.
got it.
And you can kind of see over time the recursion starting to happen here, right? Where it starts getting completely out of control, and
you can
the
just see it
amplitude
starting to
create.
grow. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's just, and like I said, the graphics just don't do justice for how crazy was going on out here. I mean, I fully expected my wife to come out at some point and go, "What in the
What's
world
going on?
is going on out here?"
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Luckily, I'm not attached to the house, So the green circle you see here is me engaging D feedback, right?
Yep.
So you see me engage it. It immediately cuts off the recirculation in the microphone. You see just the decay of the reverb. And then I say check again down here, and you notice that there is absolutely zero.
It's a very tight signal. I mean, it's what we just heard at a different scale when you turn it off. That's amazing.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the important thing to remember here, and I'll kind of reinforce this in the next graphic, is that because D feedback is on this, if you were printing this vocal, it wouldn't have the background noise and the reverb in it.
Right. Yeah. The vocal that's being recorded would just have the very dry vocal in it, which is effectively what we were getting here too.
Right.
Yeah.
This is the difference between using this versus an expander, right? Which is an expander is just turning on the mic on and off depending on where the vocal threshold is.
Right.
That microphone still contains all the ambience in it
Yeah, you'd have to use the expander on if you were going to take a recording and of that signal and use it for something. You'd have to keep that expander with it there.
Yeah, you would, or you'd have to go into Pro Tools and make the edits, right?
Fair.
But when the vocal is happening, the reverberant content is still in that vocal mic.
Yes, right.
That's not the case with this. This is one of the nuanced things of this, where you go, we're in a very different time now, right?
Yeah. Well, and this is why you have no threshold. Because it doesn't matter. The feedback is not coming back through. I mean, it's getting to the element of the microphone, but it's not getting past the de-feedback box is what it is. It is a very, very smart filter is what it's doing.
Yeah. I mean, no, you're right. I mean, it's the AI going, yes, you're a vocal, come on through.
Come on through.
You're a reverb, don't come on through.
Yeah.
So leave it up for one more slide here, Dave, because it'll explain it here. Because my next test was doing the mic with an expander, a clean mic, an expanded mic, and a de-feedback mic, right?
Yep.
So as you can see in the blue one here, that's unprocessed, and you can kind of see a signal to noise ratio there. And this was with pink noise, by the way. So this is just pink noise blasting through the PA system and me saying check.
Got it. Okay. Yep.
So you can see the level of the pink noise, the level of the vocal.
Yeah, and the pink noise is coming through the vocal channel, of course, as you would expect. Yep.
So in the green one, that is with an expander on it, right? So you can see the expansion is closed down on it before the person speaks into the microphone. But as soon as he speaks into the microphone, the noise, the signal to noise is back. Right?
The gate, I know it's an expander, but effectively the channel is open until the expander decides to close it.
Yeah, expander is a gate. It's just at a much lower ratio, right?
Yeah, right.
And then you can see the red line is kind of indicating hold time and decay time there, right?
Right, where the expander is deciding when, based on how you've tuned it, it's deciding how long to leave it open before it starts to close. Yeah, makes sense.
And so the bottom, the purple one, is the de-feedback. And then you can see that the signal to noise ratio stays constant for the entire time, right?
Yeah, there's no expansion lag on this. Right. It's not letting it through. Wow, that's pretty good, man.
The last one I'll show you here, I decided, let's see what background noise actually acts like. So I pulled up some Chesney tracks, and I had, kick, snare, bass, keys, everything running through the PA system here, as you can see. And this just kind of drives the point home here, right? So in the beginning, you see the signal to noise ratio is the same in all of the units. And then you engage, at this point, I engaged the expander and the de-feedback at the same time. And you can you can see the difference in noise level. Now, to be fair here, the purple actually looks a little louder than the green here, but it's because I actually accidentally bumped the fader on the purple. So it's actually less than the green.
Still a human involved in the process.
Yeah, so I'll get my test grid a little better sorted out for my next run of this. But you can see it here, as the expander opens, that kick, snare, and drums is still in there. You have a signal, a designated kind of signal to noise. This is the depth of your expansion.
Amazing.
And then, with de-feedback, it's not there, And as you can see, it does, like I said, it doesn't necessarily eliminate background noise here. But for what it does an incredible job. And it wasn't designed to do this, It was designed to do the IR.
What we heard even in the room there, it didn't completely get rid of it, but it tames it to a point where it's not going to spiral out of control, which is what causes your feedback and all of that stuff. And so to its name, it's doing what it says. It's de-feedback. It's not background noise in its entirety, which I think, depending on where they go with the tech, it possibly could do at some point.
Well, but I think the next version of it will address it, because it'll be optimized for noise reduction now.
Right.
It's not exactly. Right now. It's just optimized for reverb reduction now.
For feedback. Yeah, reverb and feedback. Yeah. That's fascinating. Thank you for walking us through that. What a blast, man. Yeah. So much fun. Yeah.
So
I like the nerdiness of
like I say, transformative, it's just an amazing thing. Feedback has been such it's one of those things that's always lingering at the gig. A lot of times the volume of your show is dictated by the level you can get the vocal. And, and the really beautiful thing about this, I just experienced this using it. I used it with some Fito Paez shows, and then took it back out for a Kenny Chesney corporate show that we just did. I
Yep.
used it there. And the thing I really started picking up on was that I don't need to, like, there are just some standard things that I would do to a vocal EQ wise to kind of offset gain before feedback. Just kind of thinking, okay, I know what's going to happen here. I'll just do this. And
Yeah.
I could take all of that off. And as a matter of fact, I could do some tone shaping on a vocal that I could never do before.
Right,
There's
because
no risk
EQ
of the feedback now.
Right.
Like I could actually boost mid-range on a vocal if I needed to do it now. I mean, I would never even dream about doing
That's
like
not something that's part of the vernacular. Yeah, that's right.
right? You're going to do what? Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
So, like because you're not destroying, I shouldn't say destroying. It's not that, I don't want to be that dramatic with it. But because you're not altering the tonality of the voice in order to get gain before feedback, now your voice just comes up and sits so much easier. And
Yeah.
you can actually make it blend with instrumentation so much better now. It's so much more
awesome.
natural sounding than it was previously, So just amazing.
Fascinating.
Amazing.
That's amazing. I love it. Love it. Thanks for getting nerdy again. That's what we do.
I would encourage, I mean, I think about your world where you go play a lot of clubs and stuff. And I
Yeah.
just cannot
Oh.
wait for the first time one of you guys walk into a club and say, I'm just going to run my mic through this Focusrite and then you can have it after that. It's going to come to
Yeah.
your line level.
Yeah.
Just trust me. It's going to be great. It's not going to feedback the whole night.
Yeah,
I promise.
just trust me. Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, but that's the thing. And at the price point, like this is all doable. It's
Yeah.
all right there. Yeah. Yeah.
I just can't
love
wait
it.
to see that guy,
Yeah. I want to.
old road crew guy go, hey, hang on. No, just plug the mic straight into me. Well, no, not really.
no.
You need to trust me on this one.
Trust me on this. Yeah. No, I'm playing a gig in a theater tonight, and it's like a season reveal thing. So we're doing all kinds of different things, and part of it has 4 people on lavs and in this room with a live band on stage. It's tough, Yeah. And this would solve that problem
Well, think
instantly.
Of it, I mean, and really part of the reason I'm doing so much latency testing here is because I want, Side Phil Robinson, our guy, and Brian Baxley to be able to use this in the ear mixes.
Right.
Right. I mean, can you
Right.
imagine the impact? I mean, what it's like having a drummer sitting behind you as a vocalist, or, well,
Yeah.
maybe you don't because you're the guy that's messing it all up.
That's correct.
But-
It's me. Yeah.
But
I'm the problem.
I mean, that is a big deal. I'll briefly take you down the rabbit hole here of the impact that this could have on music mixing going forward. Okay, because this is not uncommon in ear mixes, where if you're on even a medium-sized stage, maybe even sometimes a large stage, there can be so much drum bleed into a vocalist microphone, right, that they don't even take real drums into their ear mix. They just go, no, I can hear the drums.
I got
fine,"
it.
right?
Yeah. Yep.
Now, that sounds great up there, but here's the problem with that as a front of house mixer. And you don't ever try to explain this to an artist. Artists, if you're listening, just mute the thing right now. Try to explain to an artist, well, if you do that, like if the drum kit is 20 feet upstage, your singing is now about 20 milliseconds late to the band.
Right.
You're out of time with the band. You don't realize it in your ears because you're singing right along with the drums.
Because you're singing along with the drums that you're hearing live in the room, not live in your ears. Yeah.
But by the time that close vocal mic and that close drum mic exits the PA, you're out of time with the drums.
Of course you are.
So my point being, if we can eliminate that background thing and start feeding them real drums,
Wow.
the whole thing tightens up, right?
Yeah. Huh. I didn't even think about that. Cleaning up. I never think about feedback in ear mixes because unless there's a live speaker that's also part of that chain, you wouldn't get that. But
Well, and what
you're
could you
getting
do?
this. Yeah. Yep.
It's no point in wasting mental energy on it if you have no band-aids or solutions.
That's the other thing, right? I'm here. There's
I
a
can
drum
do about
set
it.
there. Nothing you can do about it. Yeah, exactly.
Right. But now,
Yeah.
maybe there's something we can do about it. Because, that was part of my thing on Petty for those years. I would have absolutely given up a limb to have this thing available to me on Petty.
Yeah.
Because the vocal was the whole thing, and he's a quiet singer. And that was always the problem, the drum bleed from Ferroni into that microphone. And I
Yep.
went through a lot of pains to take everything that was not drums and delay it back to the drum kit so that bleed was in time with the drum kit.
Right.
Right. And
Right.
Then it worked really well. Like I could leave the vocal mic up. I didn't have to turn it down and, blah, blah, blah. It just became part of the drum sound. So this would do that essentially in a much more organic way. Right.
Yeah.
Time is the enemy.
Time is the enemy. Speaking of 90 minutes, here we are. Brad Maddox had previously held the record for the longest Gig Gab. I'm not sure if this is going to beat it, but
oh wait, then we got to keep going. I mean, we got to keep going.
I shouldn't have said anything. I love that. Oh man, thank you so much for doing this.
Dave, always great to chat with you, my friend. Always.
Yeah, man. Thanks for doing this. Yeah, what a blast. The 90 minutes goes by easy when we can nerd out about this stuff, and yeah, it's good. Where, if people want to follow you, robertscoville.com, is that the right place to send them to?
Yeah, robertscovill.com. I mean, it's not like updated with my schedule, et cetera.
Sure,
but
sure.
If you want to see some of the things I'm working on there, for sure. You follow me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram. That'll keep you up to date on what I'm actually doing these days.
Cool. I'll put those links in too. Yeah.
The Back Lounge, you can sign up for the Back Lounge on robertscovill.com if you want to stop by. It's no fuss, no muss. You just show up. You know, there's no passwords and no nothing. You just show up. I do have I have a webinar coming up, I think January 6th for EAW.
Amazing.
Actually, it's a really cool topic. It's called driver density and DSP density, amplifier density, and line arrays. Because they've been a big proponent of that for so long. So I'm going to get in there and get really deep on that, talking about the effects of driver density on line array. So I encourage anybody that's interested in something like that, come on by. It's going to be a really fascinating webinar.
Cool. Fun. Amazing. Thanks for taking your time, my friend. Folks, thanks for listening.
You going to come and see me at Sphere next year?
Yes. The timing of it, the answer was going to be yes. And then the timing might be right when our daughter is getting married here in New Hampshire. So we got to figure that part out.
Well,
but otherwise, yeah.
Maybe we should get back together. You know, like in about a week, I got all the trussing coming in to create a Sphere simulator.
Really?
In this space.
Yeah.
To start prepping for that Chesney run.
Oh,
so maybe once we get
another
that
thing
done,
to talk
we'll
about.
come in and talk about that.
That's
going to be a
interesting.
fascinating thing. Yep.
Yeah. Sphere simulator. Wow. You're living in the future, man. Love it.
Totally, man. Totally.
Love it. There are 3 words we like to wish people as we say goodbye. I can certainly do it, but if you would do the honors, it would be my pleasure, my friend.
Always be performing longer than Brad Maddox. That's
I love that. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. GigGabPodcast.com. That's where you can find the show notes with all the links to all the things. The YouTube video of this episode will be right there as well if you want to watch that little segment too. Thanks for hanging out, folks, and we'll see you next week. We've got Richie Castellano coming on from Band Geeks and Blue Oyster Cult and John Anderson, and we're going to, among many things, we will dissect how he dissects vocal harmonies and puts them all together. So fun stuff, and we'll see you next week. Robert, thank you. Fun stuff, man.
Loved it, man. Thanks, Dave. See you soon, buddy.
Perfect. Later. Amazing.